In May, Vancouver's East Side detached sales were up 28% year over year. In June, that number was down 1%. Same segment, 1 month apart. That's not a rounding error. That's a swing worth paying attention to. And it's not the only one. West Side detached sales, which were up 53% in May, slowed to 13% growth in June. That recovery story from last month didn't disappear, but it cooled off fast. And if you were making decisions based on last month's numbers, this month changes the math. Here's a scenario. A buyer watched last month's number and decided the east side was heating up and rushed to make an offer before that window closed. They came in strong, above asking, no negotiating, but June's data shows the buyer activity that spiked in May didn't hold. They paid a premium for urgency that 1 month later really wasn't there. This is the risk with reading any single month in isolation. Vancouver's market moves in bursts, by segment, by neighborhood, and what looks like a trend in 1 month's data can flatten out the next. I know that's frustrating if you're trying to time a decision. The headlines want a clean story and the data just doesn't give you one. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what held up for May, what cooled off, and where June's real opportunities are. So with all that out of the way, let's just get into it. Every month, I pull the same two sources: SnapStat's Metro Vancouver edition for neighborhood level, speed, and volume, and the Greater Vancouver Realtors Board reports for year-over-year benchmarks that tell me where we actually stand against last year. This month, I'm also pulling the board's own June release because their chief economist flagged something worth repeating in his own words. June saw broad gains in home sales across all home types relative to last year, which he called a rare occurrence in recent years and a possible early sign of a shift. His words, not mine, but he's also said it's too early to call. That's the right amount of caution, and it's the same caution I want you to have going into this. Region-wide, Greater Vancouver logged 2,390 residential sales in June, up 9.6% from June of last year. The composite benchmark price sits at $1,099,100, down 6% year over year, and basically flat month over month. Detached sales were up 13.7%, apartment sales up 6.1%, attached home sales up 11.4%. Broad gains, like the economist said, but prices across every category are still down 5 to 7% from a year ago. Buyers are showing up, they're just not paying up. Zoom out one more level, because the backdrop matters here. Across all of British Columbia, sales rose year over year in June for the first time since September of last year, up 0.9% to just over 7,000 transactions. BCREA's chief economist credited stronger activity right here in Greater Vancouver for driving that. He said, in his own words, he hopes it marks the start of a stronger second half of the year as things return to normal after several years of shock. Notice the words hopes, not a declaration. That's the right amount of caution. And I'd rather give you that than a headline that oversells it. And here's what's actually happening with rates. Well, all of this plays out. The Bank of Canada held its key interest rate at 2.25% on July 15th. In their own words, housing activity has been weak, but looks to be stabilizing. Their next chance to change anything isn't until September 2nd. So this is the rate environment you'll be working with for the short term anyway. Nothing's getting cheaper to borrow right now, and nothing's getting more expensive either. Whatever movement you're about to see in these numbers isn't being driven by interest rates. It's buyers deciding prices in front of them are close enough to make sense. So now let's zoom into the two areas I track the closest. Westside detached, 78 sales in June, up 13% from a year ago. That's real, but it's a fraction of May's 53% surge. The benchmark price is $3,042,100, down 9.2% year over year, essentially unchanged from May's discount. Active listings are down 12.2% from last year. Eastside detached, 95 sales in June, down 1% from a year ago, flat. May's 28% jump didn't carry forward. Benchmark price is 1,659,400, down 9.6% year over year. One thing worth noting, days on market dropped to 24, down 27% from a year ago. So the homes that are selling are moving fast. There just aren't more of them selling than last year. Here's what that tells me. May looked like the start of a recovery in detached. June says not so fast, at least not on the east side. West side is still gaining, just slower. This isn't a market that's turned. It's a market that's still deciding. Condos are a steadier, quieter story. West Side condos, 269 sales in June, down 4.3% year over year. Benchmark price, 779,200, down 5.6%. Active listings down nearly 24% from a year ago, so there's meaningfully less to choose from, and sales are still down slightly anyway. Eastside condos, 107 sales, down 1%, essentially flat. Benchmark, 637,300, down 7.2%. Days on market climbed to 34, up 17% from last year. Condo buyers are still not in a hurry anywhere in this city. Less inventory hasn't translated into more urgency. Let me get specific by neighborhood, because this is where your decision actually lives. Downtown attached is now sitting at 15% sales ratio, up 12% in May. A real tightening. Yaletown jumped to 20%, up from 13. Cole Harbor is at 18%, up from 14. The downtown core itself is the laggard at 10%, basically unchanged. And at the top end, the $2.25 to $3 million downtown condo band had just one sale across 46 listings all month. If you're shopping for luxury downtown, that's still wide open buyer's territory. Eastside attached is holding at 18%, still the healthiest condo and townhome market in the city. Same as last month. Mount Pleasant, though, is at 24%. Grandview Woodland at 21%. Both a touch softer than May, but still strong. Westside attached cool, slightly overall, 17% down from 19, but Fairview and Kitsilano didn't get the memo. Fairview jumped 45%, Kitsilano to 42, both meaningfully hotter than a month ago. Marple and Oakridge still soft, 10% and 5% respectively, and North Vancouver deserves its own call out this month. Detached crossed into full seller's market, 23% sales ratio, up from 18 in May, with days on market dropped to just 10. That's real, meaningful shift, not noise. Attached, actually cool. The other direction, down to 20% from 22, two segments in the same city moving opposite in the same month, which is exactly the pattern this whole video is about. One more. Eastside townhome inventory is up near 20% from a year ago. More choice than buyers have had in a while, if that's your segment. So what does this actually mean for you? If you're a detached buyer, temper what you read last month. East side momentum stalled. West side is still gaining, just slower than the headline made it sound. There's less pressure to rush than May suggested. If you're a condo buyer, Fairview and Kitsilano just got more competitive, not less. So don't expect May's room to negotiate to still be there. Marpole and Oakridge are still soft if you want space to negotiate. North Vancouver attached loosened up slightly too. If you're a condo seller, nothing has changed from last month's advice. Buyers exist. They're just not rushed, and pricing sharp from day one still matters more than ever. If you're a detached seller, North Vancouver is the real story this month. A genuine seller's market with homes moving in 10 days. On the west and east side, price discipline still wins. Buyers know exactly what year-over-year discounts look like, and they're not paying above it. Before I wrap up, I want to hear from you on this. Did last month's numbers change what you were planning to do? And now that June has cooled some of that off, has your thinking shifted again? Tell me in the comments. I read every one. Here's what I want you to walk away with. One good month doesn't make a trend. And June proved that even the segments that look good, like they'd turn, can cool just as fast. Vancouver isn't one market moving in one direction, it's several. And this month, two of them reversed on you in real time. If you want to talk through what this means for your specific situation, the link to book a call with me is in the description below. And if this is the kind of breakdown you find useful, subscribe. I put one of these out every month. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.